I thought I knew him.
Nate.
My Nate. The one I laughed with, argued with, and shared my secrets with. Last night, I had curled up next to him, feeling his warmth, thinking our life was perfect. Are you okay? Nate asked over breakfast, pouring his coffee just the way I liked it. I'm fine, I said, forcing a smile, though my stomach felt hollow. You sound off. His brow furrowed. Talk to me. I hesitated. Could I tell him I'd seen the texts? The ones from Vanessa? My chest tightened at the memory. Nothing, I whispered. Just tired. He nodded slowly, but I saw the shadow of doubt, or maybe guilt, cross his eyes. Okay, if you say so. At work, Clara caught me staring blankly at my screen. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. I laughed nervously. Just sleepy. Come on. It's not that. You can tell me. Her voice was soft, insistent. I wanted to tell her everything, but the words stuck in my throat. It's nothing, Clara. Really? Her eyes narrowed. You're lying. I know it. I looked down at my hands, wishing they would disappear. It's complicated. When I got home, Nate was on the couch scrolling on his phone. I froze, the envelope of messages still burning in my memory. I wanted to scream. Hey, he said casually. Rough day. I sat across from him, my voice trembling. Nate, who's Vanessa? He looked up, a flicker of surprise, or was it annoyance, passing over his face. Vanessa?
What are you talking about?
I saw the messages. You've been texting her. My chest heaved. Do you love her? His laugh was light, almost mocking. Emily, you're overreacting. We're fine. You're imagining things. I'm imagining things? My voice cracked. Nate, I saw them. The late-night messages. The way you hid your phone when I walked in. He leaned back, smiling faintly, exuding calm. You know I'd never hurt you. You're letting your imagination run wild. I wanted to believe him. I wanted the old Nate back. The one who held me, kissed me, and promised he'd always be honest. But my heart knew the truth. I can't do this, I whispered. Tears blurred my vision. I trusted you. You're being dramatic. We've had arguments before. This isn't one of them. He shrugged, indifferent. I shook my head, numb.
No.
This is different. I can't stay in a lie. Silence hung between us. The room felt suffocating, filled with everything unsaid. Clara's words from earlier echoed in my mind. You deserve better. I'm leaving, I said finally, my voice steadier than I expected. I need space away from all of this. He didn't move. Don't do something you'll regret. I didn't answer. I just walked out, my heart shattered into pieces I wasn't sure I could ever fix. Outside, the cold air bit my cheeks, but it was nothing compared to the sting inside. I had loved him, trusted him, believed in us. And now, I wasn't sure I could ever trust anyone again, that I didn't sleep well. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Nate smile, his phone in his hand, Vanessa's name flashing across the screen. David's voice pulled me out of my thoughts. My younger brother leaned against my doorframe, brow furrowed. You've barely touched breakfast. Are you okay? I forced a smile. I'm fine, David. Just tired. He didn't look convinced. It's more than that. You've been quiet for days. Mom and Dad noticed too. I said I'm fine. I repeated softly, trying to push the lump in my throat down. Later, Clara called. Hey, you didn't answer my texts. Are you avoiding me? I don't know what to say, I admitted. I saw something I shouldn't have with Nate. Her voice softened. Talk to me. I can't help if you don't. He's been with someone else. Texts, messages. I trusted him, Clara. Oh, Emily. I could hear her inhale sharply. You don't deserve that. You really don't. I feel like my world just collapsed, I whispered. I don't even recognize him anymore. Then don't. Leave him. You deserve better than someone who lies to you. Her words echoed everything I had been afraid to admit. I had known deep down that I couldn't stay. At work, Alex noticed too. He approached my desk quietly, notebook in hand. Everything okay? You seem off today. I hesitated, unsure how much to share with someone I barely knew. It's personal, just some issues at home. He nodded, eyes patient. If you want to talk, I'm here. No judgment. I blinked at him, surprised by the sincerity. Thanks, I appreciate that. That evening, I sat on my bed, clutching my pillow. The decision weighed on me like a stone in my chest. I can't do this anymore, I muttered to myself. I can't live in a lie, pretending everything's okay when it's not. I trusted him, and he betrayed me. How do people do this? How do they lie so easily? David knocked gently before entering. Are you moving out? I swallowed hard. Yes, David. I need space. Away from all of this. He looked worried. I'll miss you here. Are you sure? I'm sure, I said firmly. I need to find myself again. Later, I called Clara. I've decided. I'm leaving Nate. I'm moving out. Finally, she said, relief in her voice. It's the right choice. You'll see. You'll be stronger for it. I hope so, I whispered. I feel so lost. You're not lost. You're finding yourself. And you're not alone. I'll help you. I smiled, tears threatening to spill. Thank you. I really need that. Packing my things felt surreal. Every shirt, every photo, every reminder of him burned in my mind. I wanted to throw it all away, but I couldn't. Some memories were too stubborn to let go. The last night in that apartment, I sat quietly listening to the city hum outside. I realized how much trust one had given, and how easily it was shattered. I whispered to the empty room, I can't believe I let this happen. I loved him, and now I'm just broken. Yet, somewhere deep inside, a tiny spark flickered. I wouldn't stay broken. Not forever. I needed to rebuild, to stand again. And maybe, just maybe, I'd find someone or something that would never betray me. The apartment felt strange without him. Quiet. Empty. For the first time in weeks, I felt a little lighter, but the memories lingered like shadows in the corners. At work, Alex approached my desk. Morning, Em. Coffee. He held out a cup like nothing had changed. I hesitated, then smiled faintly. Thanks, I'll take it. You okay? His voice was gentle. You've seemed off lately. I'm getting there, I admitted. It's just everything changing at once. He nodded, as if he understood more than he should. Sometimes the best way forward is to focus on one thing at a time. Small steps. I appreciated his calm presence. No judgment, no probing questions, just quiet support. Later, Victoria Lane introduced herself during lunch. She was sharp, elegant, and had an air of authority that made my chest tighten. You're Emily, right? She asked, extending her hand. I've heard a lot about you. From who? I asked cautiously. From your work and your reputation for diligence, she said, smiling. I want to mentor you, teach you to value yourself, to stand taller even when the world tries to knock you down. Her words made me swallow hard. I'd like that. I really would. Good, she said firmly. We start tomorrow. That evening, I went to a small gathering Clara invited me to. I felt exposed, but determined to reclaim some normalcy. I hadn't expected to see Vanessa there. She smiled, wide and perfect, and walked straight toward me. Emily, hey. Long time no see. Her voice was saccharine, dripping with false warmth. I forced a smile. Vanessa. Hello. I hear you and Nate broke up, she asked innocently. I felt my stomach knot. Yes. It's complicated. Must be hard. He seemed so perfect. She tilted her head, eyes sharp. I hope he's treating you right now. I caught the subtle challenge in her words. My hands clenched at my sides. He wasn't, I said quietly, deliberately. And that's over now. She smiled faintly, but her eyes glimmered with something I couldn't quite name. Satisfaction? Or perhaps the thrill of a game she thought she'd won. I turned away, letting the encounter slide past me. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of a reaction. Not anymore. Later, sitting with Clara, I exhaled deeply. She hasn't changed. Same smirk, same lies. Then don't give her power, Clara said firmly. You're stronger than you think. One step at a time, Em. Her words resonated with Victoria's earlier advice. Maybe I could rebuild.
Piece by piece.
That night, I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling. I thought about Alex's quiet support, Victoria's challenge, and Clara's unwavering loyalty. I'm scared, I whispered to myself. Scared I'll fall back into old patterns, scared I won't be enough. But a cautious hope flickered inside me. Maybe I could learn to trust again, first myself, then the world around me. And maybe, just maybe, I'd grow into someone who could face shadows like Vanessa without flinching. For the first time in weeks, I let myself believe I could survive this. I couldn't stop thinking about how I had let Nate control so much of my life. Every decision, every emotion, I'd handed over to him without question. You're quiet today, Clara said as she plopped down across from me at the cafe. Her coffee steamed in front of her, but she didn't touch it. Talk to me. What's going on?
I stared at my hands.
I keep replaying everything. Why I trusted him so easily. Why I ignored the warning signs. Because he was charming? Clara asked gently. Because you wanted to believe in the best of him? I nodded, bitter laughter escaping me. I wanted to be loved. Really loved. And I thought that meant trusting blindly, even when my gut screamed otherwise. Clara reached across the table, touching my hand. We all make mistakes, Sam.
But you're learning now.
That's what matters. Her words reminded me of my childhood, how I'd trusted people who weren't trustworthy. My old friend, Hannah, who shared my secrets with others, my cousin who manipulated me for money, even my own parents, who sometimes judged rather than supported me. Every betrayal, every heartbreak led me here. I keep thinking about Hannah, I admitted quietly. She always had her own agenda, and I never saw it until it was too late.
See?
You recognize patterns now, Clara said firmly. That's growth. You won't fall into the same traps again. I sighed, staring out the cafe window at the bustling street. I feel like all those ghosts of the past are following me. And now, Nate, it's like the final proof that I can't let anyone in so easily. Clara smiled softly. Or maybe it's proof you need boundaries. Not walls. Boundaries. You can trust, but you can be careful. Her words echoed in my mind long after she left. That night, I sat on my bed with a blank journal in front of me. The pages stared back, intimidating, yet inviting. I picked up my pen. I don't know where to start, I whispered to myself. Maybe with the truth. Maybe with everything I've been holding inside. The betrayals, the heartbreaks, even the tiny moments I ignored because I wanted life to be perfect. The pen felt heavy, yet freeing. I wrote about Hannah, about my cousin, about my parents, about Nate. I wrote about the pain, the confusion, and the moments I blamed myself. I let it all out, letting my thoughts pour onto the page. Writing this down, it's like facing them, I muttered. The ghosts feel smaller when I put them on paper. I paused, looking at the words I had written. Names, events, emotions, all captured in ink. Maybe this is how I heal. One word at a time, one memory at a time. I realized then that my journal wouldn't just be a record of pain, it would be a map to my recovery. A guide to understanding myself, learning from the past, and preparing for the future. Tomorrow, I'd face the world again. But tonight, I faced myself. And for the first time in a long time, I felt a fragile sense of control. I walked into the office that morning feeling a mix of nerves and determination. It was time to reclaim myself, one step at a time. Morning, Emily. Alex's quiet voice made me glance up from my desk. He smiled softly, holding a folder. I thought you might need this. I took it, curious. Thanks. What is it? Potential projects you could lead, he said simply. I know you've been aiming for more responsibility. Figured this could help. My heart lifted slightly. You thought of me? He shrugged, brushing his dark hair back. Just trying to help. Thanks, Alex. I do appreciate it. Later, Victoria Lane appeared beside my desk, looking as sharp as ever. Emily, I've been observing you, she said, crossing her arms. You're talented, but you still let past anger weigh you down. I'm trying, I said cautiously. It's hard not to think about everything that happened. She leaned in, voice firm. Hard. Life is hard. Nate cheated. You were hurt.
Fine.
Now, what are you going to do? Cry and stew in resentment, or focus on your growth? Her words stung, but they were necessary. I want to grow. I want to move forward, not just survive. Good, she said sharply. Then stop obsessing over him. Control what you can, your career, your choices, your future. Let karma handle the rest. I nodded, determination solidifying inside me. I will. That afternoon, during lunch, I spotted Nate across the street at a cafe, holding Vanessa's hand. Their laughter carried across the street, loud and effortless. A pang of something, anger? Sadness. Hit me, but I forced my chest to relax. I wouldn't give them power over me. They look happy. I whispered to myself, though my voice trembled slightly. Alex, noticing my gaze, asked quietly, "Are you okay?" I forced a smile.
Yeah,
I'm okay. Just observing. It felt strange, watching him with her and feeling nothing explosive. Just a quiet acknowledgement that life moves on. And maybe, in time, I could let go completely. Back at my desk, Victoria stopped by again. Emily, are you considering the new project? Yes, I said, excitement bubbling. I think I'm ready. I want to prove to myself that I can lead. She raised an eyebrow. Not to prove to him, mind you.
to prove to you.
Remember, revenge is fleeting. Growth is lasting. I nodded, internalizing her words. Understood. It's about me, not him. Over the next few days, subtle signs of change emerged. A minor error Nate made at work went unnoticed by him, but hinted at his vulnerability. I caught Vanessa oversharing on social media, her careless posts hinting at her superficiality. It was small, but it reminded me that actions have consequences. I leaned back in my chair, journal open, and scribbled notes on my feelings. I'm learning to stand again. To be careful, but brave. To trust cautiously, but keep my heart intact. Alex stopped by with a cup of tea. You seem different. Stronger, maybe. I am trying, I said, meeting his eyes. I'm trying every day. He smiled softly. That's all anyone can ask of you. That evening, I walked home, the city lights reflecting off the streets. For the first time in months, I felt in control, my emotions, my actions, my decisions. Nate and Vanessa existed in a separate world. My world was mine, and I was determined to rise stronger. And somewhere deep inside, I knew karma, quiet but inevitable, was already in motion. The office felt unusually tense that morning. I heard Marcus talking quietly with Hannah near the break room, their voices low but urgent. Emily, Hannah whispered as I approached, you might want to know. Nate's project? It's falling apart. He's making mistakes he can't cover up. I froze. What do you mean? Missed deadlines, sloppy reports, Marcus added. It's bad and no one's correcting him. My stomach twisted. Part of me wanted to ignore it, let karma handle him. Another part wanted to act. Just a little. Not for revenge, not out of spite, just to make sure he faced the consequences. I left them, heart pounding, and found Alex at his desk. Alex, can I ask you something? Of course, he said, looking up from his screen. I know about Nate's mistakes. I don't want to interfere, but should I just let it happen? Or do I step in? Alex leaned back, hands clasped. If it were me, I'd let it unfold naturally. People get what they deserve eventually. But if you step in, make sure it's strategic, not emotional. I chewed my lip. Emotional, that's exactly the danger. I don't want this to be about him hurting me. I want it to be about me protecting myself, my work, my peace. Later, I met Sophie in the cafeteria. She was bright, Optimistic, the kind of person who always saw the silver lining. You look tense, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. Something's bothering you? It's Nate, I admitted quietly. His project's failing. I'm debating whether to intervene or just let karma take its course. Sophie frowned. Intervene? You mean sabotage? No, I snapped, immediately regretting it. I mean guide it subtly. Not to hurt anyone, just consequences. He's been careless, arrogant, and now he's reaping what he sowed. I don't want to make it personal, just ensure he faces the reality of his actions. Sophie nodded slowly. I get that. But remember, the moment you get involved, it's your responsibility too. Are you ready for that? I swallowed hard. I think yes. I need to start taking control of my life, not just sit back while he moves through it unscathed. Back at my desk, I opened my journal and started writing down ideas, strategic, harmless steps to subtly expose his errors. Missed deadlines, overlooked reports, minor miscommunications that could highlight his lack of accountability. Nothing cruel, just consequences he could no longer hide. Alex stopped by, leaning against my cubicle. You've been quiet all day. Plotting world domination, he teased lightly. I smiled faintly. Something like that. Not world domination, just making sure truth catches up with him. He raised an eyebrow. Careful. Don't let it become personal. You know you'll lose yourself if it does. I know, I said, my fingers tapping on the desk. This isn't about him hurting me anymore. It's about me stepping into my own power. Later, as I watched the office clock tick toward the evening, I realized how much control I had taken back. Small, subtle steps, but powerful. My mind felt sharper, my heart calmer. Even from across the room, I noticed Nate laughing with a colleague, oblivious to the cracks in his perfect facade. Vanessa was nearby, radiant as ever, but I didn't feel envy or pain. Just focus. Focus on myself, my growth, and my strategy. I closed my journal, determination solidifying. I will rise stronger. I will protect myself. And I will do it smart, not emotional. For the first time since the breakup, I felt the thrill of reclaiming my life, not through revenge, but through careful, controlled action. And somewhere deep inside, a tiny spark of justice flickered. I sat at my desk, staring at the reports in front of me, but my mind kept drifting. Every time I thought of Nate, I felt the familiar pang of anger rising. The temptation to send a message, to confront him publicly, to make him see how much he'd lost. It was almost overwhelming. Emily. Alex's quiet voice pulled me back. He leaned against my cubicle, eyes concerned. You've been staring off for 10 minutes. Everything okay? I'm fine. I lied, rubbing my temples. Just thinking. About him, he asked softly. I hesitated, then nodded.
Yes.
I keep thinking about what I could do, what I should do. But I don't want to be that person, Alex. I don't want to act out of anger. He leaned closer.
Good.
That means you're learning. Acting impulsively only gives him power over your emotions again. I sighed. I know, but it's so hard not to react sometimes. Every instinct I have wants to yell, to expose him, to let him feel even a fraction of what I felt. Alex shook his head gently. You're stronger than that. You've already started building your life, your career, your peace. Don't let him destroy that by dragging you back into his world. Later, Victoria stopped by, crossing her arms as she studied me. You're thinking about him again, aren't you? I glanced up, guilty. I can't help it sometimes. He's everywhere in my mind. She raised an eyebrow. Then control it. Patience is power. Revenge is temporary. Growth is lasting. Remember why you started this journey. I remember, I said, voice low. I keep imagining him seeing me succeed, seeing me move on. Part of me wants him to feel regret. Victoria's expression softened slightly. Regret isn't yours to command. Let him deal with the consequences naturally. Your victory is internal, Emily. Control your mind, control your life. I nodded slowly, letting her words sink in. That evening, I walked past a cafe and caught sight of Nate sitting with Vanessa, laughing. My first instinct was to glance away, but I paused, watching him closely. There was a subtle change in me, an inner calm, a distance I hadn't felt before. I didn't feel envy. I didn't feel pain.
Just observation.
I whispered to myself, I'm not the same Emily who would have run after him. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm in control. Clara called later, sensing my lingering tension. Hey, Em. You sound quieter. Different. I am different, I admitted. I almost acted out today, almost let anger control me. But I realized peace is stronger. I can't let him manipulate my emotions anymore. Good, Clara said warmly. That's the Emily I know. One step at a time. At home, I opened my journal, jotting down the day's struggles. I wrote about the temptation to act, the flicker of anger, the moment I almost lost control. And then I wrote about how I chose calm, how I observed, how I protected myself. I can't control him, I whispered to the page. I can only control me. And today, I chose wisely. As I closed the journal, I felt a sense of clarity. The crossroads had tested me, but I had chosen the harder path, the path of patience, of inner strength. And for the first time in weeks, I felt truly untouchable. The office buzzed with quiet murmurs that morning. I noticed Marcus smirking near the printer, glancing at his phone. Emily, he whispered when I approached, did you see Nate's email to the board? I frowned. No, what happened? Forgot to attach the report, Marcus said, eyes wide. They're calling him out in the next meeting. I blinked. My first instinct was a tiny surge of satisfaction, but I quickly pushed it down. I didn't need to gloat. Karma had a way of showing itself. Later, Alex approached my desk, carrying 2 coffees. Morning. Thought you might want one. Thanks, I said, accepting the cup. I heard about Nate. Alex leaned against the edge of my desk.
Yeah, I saw.
Tough break, but honestly, it's not your doing. Just consequences catching up. I nodded slowly, watching him sip his coffee. It feels almost poetic. Poetic or not, Alex said quietly. Remember you're here for yourself. Don't get carried away. During lunch, Sophie and I sat near the cafeteria window. Did you see Vanessa's post? Sophie asked, scrolling on her phone. I leaned in. What is it? Vanessa had posted a photo of herself with Nate at some new restaurant, captioned, Perfect night with perfect people. She's showing off again, Sophie said. But notice the comments? People are starting to notice her bragging is over the top. Some are calling her shallow. I tried to stifle a smile. It wasn't joy, it was observation. Their facade was cracking, subtly, publicly. Funny, I murmured. I never had to do anything. It's just unfolding naturally. Sophie nodded. Exactly. You're not interfering. You're watching the consequences. That's what matters. Later, during a meeting, Nate struggled to explain his project delays. His voice faltered. He glanced at Vanessa, who waved dismissively at him. I could feel the tension in the room, the small but undeniable cracks in his perfect image. I whispered quietly to myself, it's happening. He's losing control, and I don't have to touch it. Even small moments added to the picture. An email Nate forgot to send, a report filed incorrectly, Vanessa bragging on social media and receiving backlash. Each event was a tiny reminder that actions have consequences. By afternoon, Alex came by again. You seem calm today, like you finally believe in your own strength. I smiled faintly. I'm learning. Karma isn't about revenge. It's about reality catching up with people who ignore it. And observing it quietly, it's satisfying. He laughed softly. Quiet satisfaction. I like that. Just don't let it consume you. I leaned back, reflecting. The city skyline outside the window looked endless, full of possibilities. I realized that my focus didn't need to be on him. My work, my growth, my choices, they were where my power lay. During a quick break, my phone buzzed with a notification. I glanced at it, a forgotten message from Nate, sent to the wrong group chat, meant for Vanessa. His words were clumsy, defensive, even panicked. I set the phone down, heart steady. This is enough, I whispered. I don't need to act. Reality is doing it for me. By the end of the day, I felt a quiet sense of triumph, not loud or boastful, just subtle, internal, and powerful. I didn't gloat, I didn't interfere. I simply watched as the world realigned itself around truth and honesty. And somewhere deep inside, I knew this was only the beginning. I noticed the change immediately. Nate's confident stride had stiffened, and the once effortless charm in his smile was replaced by tension. Emily, Marcus whispered as I passed him in the hallway, he's losing it. Missed another deadline. Bored isn't happy. I nodded, keeping my expression neutral. It wasn't satisfaction I felt, just quiet acknowledgement. Justice, in its own way, was unfolding. At my desk, Alex appeared, carrying 2 coffees again. Looks like the universe is being kind, he said softly, placing one in front of me. I smiled faintly. Or maybe reality is catching up. Careful, he warned lightly. Don't let it become the center of your attention. Focus on yourself. I said, lifting my chin. I'm watching, yes. But my life doesn't revolve around him anymore. Later, Sophie leaned over my cubicle. Did you see Nate's call with the investors? He's flustered, stumbling over details. Everyone's noticing. I exhaled softly. It's subtle, but it's there. Consequences, finally. As the day progressed, small cracks appeared everywhere. A missed email here, a forgotten attachment there. Vanessa's social media posts became increasingly desperate, bragging too much, revealing too much. Each little misstep painted a picture I had only hoped to witness quietly. Alex stopped by again, lowering his voice. You're calm about this. I didn't expect it. You've really changed, Emily. I have, I said quietly, glancing toward Nate's office. I used to care so much about what he thought. Now, I observe. I learn. And I protect myself. Alex hesitated, then said softly, You know, it's impressive. The way you're handling everything. Not just professionally, but personally too. I felt a warmth spread across my chest. There was a closeness here I hadn't expected, quiet, safe, and comforting. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate your support more than I can say. He smiled, a brief, hesitant one that lingered longer than usual. Always, Emily. Always. During the afternoon meeting, I caught Nate glaring at me from across the room. His frustration was palpable. His envy, subtle but unmistakable. He wanted control, wanted recognition, and yet it slipped further from his grasp. I whispered to myself, barely moving my lips, He's crumbling, but I'm untouched. Calm. Strong. In control. Clara called later, checking in. Heard about the office chaos today. Feeling okay? I smiled into the phone. Better than okay. Watching him unravel, quietly, without me doing anything. It's strangely satisfying. Good, Clara said warmly. You're rising above it all. By evening, I found myself walking home with Alex. The city lights reflected in his eyes, and I noticed the way he glanced at me, subtle, meaningful, yet respectful. I feel lighter, I confessed. Like I can breathe without worrying about him, or his world collapsing around me. You've earned it, Alex said softly. You've grown through this stronger than I imagined. I looked at him, a flicker of something unspoken passing between us. Connection, trust, maybe the beginning of something more. I smiled quietly. Thank you for being here. He smiled back, and it wasn't just reassurance. It was recognition. A bond forming, quiet but real. And as I watched Nate scramble in the distance, frustration written all over his face, I realized something profound. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't vengeful. I was simply free. And freedom, I thought, was far more powerful than revenge ever could be, and I never expected to run into him like this. The coffee shop was quiet, and there he was, Nate sitting alone, scrolling through his phone. My heart beat faster, but I reminded myself. Calm, measured, controlled. Emily, he said, looking up. Surprise flashed across his face. I didn't expect to see you here. I kept my voice steady.
Hi, Nate.
I wanted to return something. I placed a small envelope on the table between us. It contained old photographs, little gifts from our past. Memories. Yours and mine. I'm keeping the lessons, not the pain. He frowned, picking up a photo and staring. Emily. No. I interrupted firmly. Don't. I've heard enough apologies, seen enough excuses. I'm not here to relive the past or debate who was right or wrong. I never meant to hurt you, he said, voice cracking slightly. I thought I could have both you and my life. I was careless, selfish. I see that now. I studied him carefully, noticing the subtle slump in his shoulders, the regret in his eyes. It wasn't satisfaction that warmed me, it was clarity. Regret is yours to carry, Nate. I've carried enough of the weight of your choices. I'm done. But can we talk? He asked, leaning forward.
Please.
Just one last conversation. I need to explain myself. I shook my head.
No.
I don't need to hear more explanations. I don't need closure from you. I've found it within myself. Peace, Nate. That's what matters. He looked down at the table, twisting a coffee stirrer in his hands. I ruined everything, didn't I? You ruined your chance at honesty, integrity, and trust, I said quietly, but you didn't touch my growth. I've learned. I've healed. I've chosen myself over your chaos. His eyes lifted to meet mine, the weight of his mistakes heavy in the room. I wish I could change it.
I'm sorry, Emily.
You're too late, I said, setting the envelope gently in my bag. Sorry doesn't undo choices. It doesn't fix the past. But I've made peace with it. That's my power now. He swallowed hard, his voice barely above a whisper. I see that. And you're strong. Stronger than I ever realized. I nodded. Strength isn't about hurting others or seeking revenge. It's about standing firm in your truth and protecting your peace. I've chosen mine. He looked at me a long moment, eyes searching mine as if trying to find a crack. There wasn't one. I felt no anger, no desire for confrontation, only quiet authority over my own life. Finally, I stood. Take care of yourself, Nate. Learn from your mistakes. And remember, your choices define you, not mine. He watched me leave, holding the photographs, a tangible reminder of what had been lost. I didn't look back. Each step I took was deliberate, filled with the calm certainty of someone who had reclaimed her life. Outside, the sun was dipping below the horizon. Golden light spilled across the street, warming my face. I inhaled deeply, savoring the moment. No rage, no bitterness.
Just peace.
I reached my apartment, setting the envelope on my shelf as a symbol, not of loss, but of growth. Every photo, every memento, was a lesson I had mastered. I whispered to myself, smiling softly, I survived him. I survived us. And I chose myself. That is enough. And for the first time since the beginning of this journey, I felt whole. Complete.
Free.
The morning sunlight streamed through my apartment window, warming the room in a golden glow. I sipped my coffee, letting the warmth settle into my chest.
Peace.
Real, deep peace. Clara called, her voice cheerful as ever. How's my favorite survivor? I laughed softly, feeling stronger than ever. You'd be proud. I always am, she said warmly. You've grown so much. I can't believe how far you've come. Thanks, Clara. I couldn't have done it alone. Not completely. True, but mostly, you did this yourself, she replied. Nate's mistakes didn't define you. You defined yourself. I smiled, thinking of how far I'd come. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every moment I'd doubted myself, it had all led to this. To me standing tall, finally in control of my own life. Alex stopped by later, carrying a small bouquet of flowers. Morning, he said softly, handing them to me. For everything. For who you are now. I accepted them, my fingers brushing his. Thank you, Alex. You've been a quiet anchor through this whole storm. I appreciate it more than I can say. He smiled, a little shy, eyes warm. I meant it. You're incredible, Emily. Watching you rise, it's inspiring. I feel reborn, I admitted, setting the flowers in a vase. Like all the pain, all the chaos, was a necessary part of becoming who I am today. Victoria stopped by next, arms crossed, her expression serious but gentle. Emily, she said, I've been watching. You've finally learned the lesson I hoped you would: patience, self-control, and focus. Revenge isn't power. Growth is. I understand now, I said, meeting her gaze. I've experienced the consequences of others' actions, yes. But I haven't let it destroy me. I've chosen myself over anger, peace over bitterness. Victoria's lips curved into a small smile.
Good.
That's real strength. Later, I walked through the city, absorbing the sounds, the life around me. No shadow of Nate, no reminders of betrayal, only the present. Each step felt lighter, freer. I paused at a small cafe window, watching strangers interact, people laughing, moving through their own stories. I realized how much I'd missed observing life instead of fearing it, how much joy I had postponed for heartache that no longer existed. Clara's words echoed in my mind. You defined yourself. And I had. At work, I led a project independently, confidently. Alex supported me quietly, respecting the space we'd both earned. No jealousy, no tension, just camaraderie and mutual respect. I opened my journal that evening, writing freely. I survived. I grew. I learned. I've been reborn. Peace isn't passive, it's powerful. I've chosen it every day. I reflected on Nate one last time. Not with anger, not with bitterness. Just acknowledgement. His actions, his regrets, his downfall, they were no longer my burden. They belonged to him. I whispered softly, almost to myself, I am whole. I am strong. I am free. As night fell, I sat on my balcony, the city lights shimmering like tiny stars. Alex joined me, silent, comfortable. Clara had called to check in, laughing over stories of her own day. Victoria had sent a message of quiet approval. Life had resumed its rhythm, one that I shaped, not one shaped by others' failures. I closed my eyes, inhaling the cool night air. The journey had been painful, tumultuous, but transformative. Every betrayal, every heartbreak had led to resilience. And in that moment, I knew it was enough. Enough to walk forward confidently, enough to trust myself, enough to live fully. I smiled, heart steady. This is my life. My choices, my peace, my strength. I am reborn.